If it's Friday night, say yeah, because it's Strictly Sports. Hello, friends. Anthony Floyer with you for another edition of Strictly Sports. Back after a 2 week hiatus. Last week we didn't have a show because we previewed the WWE Battleground pay-per-view. Boy, howdy, what a dumpster fire that show turned out to be. But, you know, that's in the past. And before we start, 3 shows left. This is the first of 3 remaining Strictly Sports shows before we call it another season of Strictly Sports. 2 weeks from tonight, August 11th, that is our series. That's our season finale. I almost said series finale. It's not our series finale. No way. Season finale of Strictly Sports, August 11th. Because then on the 18th, we're going to talk about NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3 and SummerSlam. And then on the 25th, the mega fight, Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, which Jimmy Alden will be a part of. Oh, by the way, how awesome is that? And then, of course, football season will be right around the corner, and then we'll be getting into that. So, very exciting stuff coming up here, to say the very least. And also tonight, what we're going to do, we're going to try to get through a lot of these topics, painlessly and quickly as possible. So this way we can, move forward. Because there are certain things I want to take some time on, and, well, mainly the main events, because we have a triple main event here tonight. We're going to share our stories and favorite moments of Ken Bell, who's going to be retiring as sports director of ABC Channel 6 this weekend. Our preview of UFC 214 and the Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Those are the 3 things I want to focus on the most. These other things, hot stove and other stuff, I want to get out of the way as quickly as possible so we can focus on those things at hand. Those 3 big main events, those are the ones that deserve all the time and whatnot. So, and what are the stories that we want to, get out of the way right away? Well, here's one of them. O.J. Simpson. This is one I most certainly want to get out of the way right away. So, O.J. Simpson granted parole after serving nearly 9 years of a 33-year sentence for armed robbery at a Las Vegas hotel. A panel comprising 4 members of the Nevada Parole Commission unanimously gave him a thumbs up. He's to be released in October. Yeah, okay. Of course, you don't know, O.J. Simpson, of course, was an NFL running back, with the Buffalo Bills in the 70s. Excuse me. Noting he has now served the minimum amount required by the court, he was told he was being granted parole because he is considered quote-unquote low risk by the board's guidelines, has community support, and a stable release plan. Yes, and public outrage very likely to follow. The headline-making news will have nothing to do with what happened in that Vegas hotel room, where Simpson insisted he was merely retrieving sports memorabilia that had been stolen from him. And of course, he had a stiff 9 to 33-year sentence for that crime was filed under cosmic justice in the wake of Simpson's acquittal in the murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. The country had been transfixed by the racially divisive trial that followed. And of course, that they had that television series, We the People, which was a major hit. Rave reviews, from what I know. And, yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to lead to public outrage. I mean, the parole hearing attracted 13 million on traditional TV, if you can believe that. And he did himself no favors at the hearing, when the panel asked him to explain why he was in jail and the whole 9 yards. And the only thing I know is that TV news legal pundits, including Tubin, they kept reminding viewers in the walk-up to the decision that he's in jail for his stab at robbery, not the 1994 fatal stabbings. Estimated 100 million people watched or listened to that 95 verdict. And exactly 13 years to the date of it, after his acquittal on charges that he slaughtered Nicole and Goldman, the former Heisman Trophy winner and NFL star was found guilty of the robbery at a hotel in Vegas, at which a member of the Simpson posse pulled the gun. So, yeah, I don't really have much to say on this. I mean, hopefully, I really don't know. I mean, I honestly do not know what to make of this because, last time we talked about nonsense like this, it led to it only it only caused the most controversial and heated segment in the history of our show, and I'm not making that mistake again. So what I'm going to do, very simply put, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I don't care. That's it. So MF, I'm going to bring you on in. Good on MF, Michael Fletcher. I mean, a quick thought of OJ getting parole. Like I said, I just honestly don't care. I'm done with that.
The thing is that if you go by the statute and everything that went down in this case, and I'm just talking about the one in Vegas, I'm not going to drudge up the one in the double murder in California, because according to a jury, he was found not guilty of that. So, and I think a lot of people will agree that the sentence itself was really harsh because that was their way of sticking it to Simpson because of that murder. But if you go by the letter of the law and according to what the charges were, which was stolen memorabilia and kidnapping, it basically warranted that he deserved this amount of time. So 9 years is fair. He deserves parole because unlike in California, he didn't really do anything like there wasn't a murder. I mean, and he wasn't even the ringleader of the kidnapping. It was one of his buddies. He was responsible for it. He was just trying to get the memorabilia back. I was following the case the whole way through, back when he was sentenced, and even I was a little eyebrow raised about the sentence itself. 33 years for basically stolen memorabilia and kidnapping. I thought it was unfair at the time. Now that he's got parole, I think that due justice is correct at this point. He is 70 years old. That's also another factor. And I kind of feel like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. He already tarnished his legacy as one of the great NFL players and the whole 9 yards. And what was oddly enough, and I cannot believe this went unaddressed, and Anthony, you never brought this up, but because of the fact that he actually is getting out, he's now allowed to be a part of the Hall of Fame because he is a Hall of Famer. And for future Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, he actually will be invited to these events. Even though OJ's never gone, the only time he ever went was the day that he did get Hall of Fame when he was enshrined, which I believe was 1985, I believe. 85, 86. You could research that if you want to, whatever. But that's baffling to me. But, it is what it is. So, Michael Bullock, I'll just give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with Fletch. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is sort of like this was when he was found guilty of the memorabilia. I mean, some people say, yeah, it was harsh, the 33 years that he was sentenced, the max sentence. But I think this is because of this is sort of like a little payback for when Simpson was found not guilty of murdering Nicole Brown Simpson and Goldman. So, yeah, 9 years for now that he's gotten parole. I mean, I think that's fair enough. I mean, and like Fletcher said, the other reason, I mean, he's 70 years old. I mean, what makes you think that he's going to want to do something stupid like what he did again? Yeah, I mean, and now that and Fletcher just mentioned, he's part of the Hall of Fame. Now, will the Hall of Fame welcome him back with open arms? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, that's yet to be determined, and that's up to the the people at the Pro Football Hall of Fame to decide what they want to do. I mean, because the last thing I want to do is say something that's going to cause a firestorm, and last thing I want to do is get into another heated exchange like I did with Michael Fletcher with the whole Aaron Hernandez situation. So I'm not going there. So basically, it is what it is. So let's just move on, Florio.
Yes, exactly right, Bullock. We don't want to get into another firestorm. I mean, I learned my lesson from the Aaron Hernandez situation back on May 19th.
And you're damn right, I learned my lesson from that night.
The thing is I don't think it's gonna happen, because the thing is that at the time of the Aaron Hernandez thing, there was a lot of emotions following up. Where in this instant, I mean, it's been so far in the past and the whole 9 yards that a lot of us, we were all riveted over the OJ case and, this story. And yeah, it did bring back those memories. Thank you 30 for 30, or thank you ESPN for the Made of America, because it was riveting enough. I thought it was incredible how this played out, reminiscing about those years, that case, the whole 9 yards. It was like, where you were when that verdict went down. We all know where we were.
Yeah.
When that verdict happened.
Yeah, and this is what I like about these 30 for 30s. It basically gives you more details of stuff that we didn't even know about back then.
Yes. And not only that, but you also got to give a lot of credit to the FX series as well, because the
People
FX
versus
series,
OJ.
The People versus OJ, which was beautifully written and absolutely stunning how they did that as well, because of the fact that not only was the acting incredible, the writing was so spot on that we also saw some stuff that many people thought, this can't be true. This can't be true. Well, yes, it was.
But it is true.
This was all based on true stories. So there was nothing fake about it. And as a matter of fact, I think I heard they were going to do one more thing about the OJ thing. And this was actually about the eyes of the jury. So we're actually going to get to feel what the jury was thinking about. They actually did a series. I don't know if it's on HBO coming up, but they actually said that they're going to do a series about the juries of these most notorious cases, and OJ's going to get brought up. So we're going to get to see and feel what this jury was feeling during the trial of the century.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what the jury's has to say of why they decided to say that OJ was not guilty.
All right, fair enough. So, well, if we're instructed to cover this, we will. But until it comes up, we'll just consider this water under the bridge. So, all right. Moving on now. I believe these remaining stories are pretty well. Most of these are hot stove stories anyway, and we're going to talk about Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman was fired as general manager of the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers sent a shockwave through the NFL world last Monday, announcing that general manager Dave Gettleman had been relieved of his duties 8 days before the start of training camp. After much thought and a long evaluation of our football operations, I have decided to relieve Dave Gettleman of his duties as general manager, Panthers owner and founder Jerry Richardson said in a statement. I want to thank Dave for the role he played in our success over the past 4 seasons. While the timing of this decision is not ideal, a change is needed. Of course, the Panthers went 6-10 last year, 1 year after making a run to Super Bowl 50 when they lost to the Denver Broncos 24-10. Gettleman, who had held his position since 2013, had become known for taking a firm stance on negotiating with players, such as when Carolina released popular wide receiver Steve Smith Sr., or when it announced that it was removing the franchise tag from star cornerback Josh Norman last year, allowing him to sign with the Washington Redskins. Another reason why the timing of the move is curious is because Carolina recently lost Brandon Beane, who had been the assistant general manager to the Buffalo Bills, as their new GM. And the Panthers, of course, they just reported for training camp this week. And the move mirrors one the Kansas City Chiefs made last month when they fired general manager John Dorsey after promising in-house front office member Chris Ballard left earlier in the offseason to take the general manager job for the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, we talked about the Dorsey situation recently on our show. So good old MF, Michael Fletcher, let's start this one off with you here. Dave Gettleman relieved as the general manager of the Carolina Panthers. 6-10 last year, a disappointing year after that Super Bowl run a year before.
And and I hate to say this, but this is a what have you done for me lately type of league now. And if you don't even have even one good year, you could get fired. And I think there's more than what meets the eye. I think there's more of a spat between the ownership than anything else, because to let somebody go after you went to the Super Bowl 50 and then 1 year later to get let go, I mean, that's so unfair. And I could easily go on a rant about this, but I won't. I just feel like there's more than what meets the eye here. I think something happened where Gettleman really angered the owner, or it was just something that maybe a conflict of differences, between one man to another about the future or the direction of the team, even though, like you said, they went to the Super Bowl just 2 years ago and was right. I mean, right there, they had a strong team, but what's the blueprint of the NFL? What do you want to become? The New England Patriots. The Patriots are the reigning champions, and not only that, but look at the culture that's going on in Foxborough, from the management all the way to the players. That is what you want to do, and you see a lot of copycats trying to create that Patriot image, and unfortunately, not everybody is meant for that position, or not everybody is meant for that run. And you're looking at what's going on. So we'll wait and see what happens. I think he'll definitely get hired again. He's a good general manager. I mean, like I said, he's had some good success. I wish him nothing but the best. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you at that point.
Yeah, this move basically surprised me. I mean, this was like days right before training camp started, and then I get this news that Dave Gettleman was fired as general manager of the team. I mean, this literally shocked me. And like you said, 2 seasons ago, he was the one that put the team together that went to Super Bowl 50. And now here it is. And even before that, I mean, they made it to even before making it to the Super Bowl, they've been to the playoffs starting in 2013. Of course, they were the number 2 seed, eventually losing to the 49ers. And then in 2014, they did have a losing record, but they still won their division. And, of course, lost to the Seattle Seahawks in the divisional round before making it to the Super Bowl. So they've had some success under their GM. But, yeah, I think the reasoning for this removal, I mean, there's got to be more than what meets the eye. I mean, there could be some, like Fletcher mentioned, some disagreements with the ownership, especially with another one of the best owners in the NFL, in Jerry Richardson. So Richardson must have not liked whatever Gettleman did and decided to let him go. I mean, yeah, they went 6-10, but this is really the first time in a while that they didn't even make the playoffs. Well, the first time they didn't make the playoffs under Gettleman. So, yeah, so I just think, I mean, whatever the case may be, I think, to me, Gettleman got an unfair deal. I mean, to me, I think Jerry Richardson, to me, should have let him be GM for this season and then see how the team would be. If they get to the playoffs, I say they should keep him. But if they miss the playoffs again, then only then in the offseason, he would have let him go. But to fire him before the start of training camp, I just think I think it's just an unfair deal, and I think it's wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Jerry Richardson and what he's done for the ownership group, but this one here, I don't like this move from him. Sorry, Floria, what's yours?
I had a train of thought, but I just lost it. Oh gosh, hate it when that happens. But I'll try to get it back. Just bear with me for a minute. But the timing of this could not have been any worse. I mean, you guys made valid points, and now I know what I wanted to say. Two simple words describe this when it comes to me: trifle, unnecessary. That's what it was. This was a trifle unnecessary. I mean, it's very clear Jerry Richardson is a man who cares about his legacy in the whole 9 yards. And this move will be part of his legacy. I mean, this team, went to the Super Bowl. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I mean, despite the flaws in his 4-year tenure in Carolina, Gettleman, he managed to keep the core of the team built by former general manager Marty Herney, Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Davis, Olsen, Ryan Khalil, Jonathan Stewart intact, especially when NFL players are getting more money in free agency than ever before. He drafted Kawan Short in the second round, bet right on Michael Orr at left tackle until last year's concussion in free agency, and just drafted Christian McCaffrey a few months ago in the NFL draft. So, I mean, Gettleman, he needed to manage the team with his head and not try to appeal to the owner's emotions. He clearly grappled with extending a 34-year-old linebacker with a similar first-round linebacker waiting in the wings in Shaq Thompson, even if Davis is still playing at a Pro Bowl level. Signed Olsen to a 3-year deal worth $22.5 million in 2015 that the tight end had absolutely outperformed, but it's the deal to which everyone agreed. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say except trifle unnecessary. I mean, you guys pretty much touched on all of it, and his gruffness, known for. I mean, the man was known obviously for a hard-nosed approach to the whole 9 yards, and that's all I can say there. So, I mean, we could go further into this, but me, I just want to move on because there's a lot of things we need to get into here. So. We wish Gettleman all the best in his future endeavors, and there's no doubt he will get another chance somewhere. So, all right, now we have to go to a sad story here. Hugh Freeze resigns as Ole Miss head football coach after calling an escort service on his work phone. University of Mississippi head football coach Hugh Freeze resigned after reports that he had used his school-issued phone to call an escort service. Freeze, who had coached Ole Miss for 5 years and led the program to a 2016 Sugar Bowl victory, was forced to leave after university officials discovered a pattern of personal misconduct inconsistent to the standards we expect from the leader of our football team. The words of Chancellor Jeff Vitter, according to the Clarion Ledger in Jackson. Ole Miss athletic director Ross Bjork told the newspaper that the university would have enacted the moral turpitude termination clause in his contract if Freeze didn't resign. Call was placed to a female escort service in January 2016 and reportedly lasted about a minute. At a news conference, Bjork said the number appeared to have been dialed only once from Freeze's phone, but upon further inspection of his call logs, university officials found what Bjork described as a concerning pattern. We did a quick assessment and determined this was the only time that particular number was ever called from Coach Freeze's phone since he started working here at Ole Miss. Bjork said, because the call lasted less than a minute, we initially attributed this call to an accidental dial of the number. The Rebels had a quick rise under Freeze, recruiting at a high level and reaching an apex with a Sugar Bowl victory over Oklahoma State following the 2015 season. But an NCAA investigation alleging 21 charges of academic, booster, and recruiting misconduct has overshadowed much of that success, especially over the past year. The school has already self-imposed several penalties, including a 1-year postseason ban for the upcoming season. Freeze, who was being paid more than $5 million a year, had a 39-25 record over 5 seasons, including a 19-21 mark in the SEC. Wow. So, Michael Bolek, I mean, what a disturbing and startling turn of events with Hugh Freeze having to resign as Ole Miss football coach.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very disturbing situation here. I mean, when it comes to Hugh Freeze, mean, like you said, he had everything going for this program, and then all these accusations that basically uh, that we heard. I mean, it's. I mean, the last thing I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last thing they need is controversy. So because of that, they just decided to let him go. I mean, and like you said, a lot of things that went down, of course, with the recruiting violations, and like you said, also that year with the evidence that Ole Miss employees and boosters arranged numerous impermissible benefits for players such as car loans and cash, and one recruit was suspected of getting help on his college entrance exam, and then it reopened again when former tackle Laramie Tunsil admitted taking money from one of Freeze's assistants. And then in February, like we see here, 3 months after suffering its first losing season since the year Freeze arrived, Ole Miss withdrew from bowl consideration because of all the stuff that was going on. So, and that's why. And then, like I said, on July 13th, Freeze's predecessor, Houston Nutt, sued Ole Miss for defamation, contending that Freeze and school officials falsely blamed him for the violations. So, yeah, and then, of course, on July 20th, because of everything that went down, the chancellor and the athletic director gave him an ultimatum: resign or be fired for violating the moral clause of his contract. And Hugh Freeze basically, to me, I think he did the right thing and resigned, because I'm sure the last thing he wanted to do is continue to fight all this and then eventually be fired by the school. So yeah, so a very disturbing and tough situation for the school that I don't know if they can recover from. I really don't know. Florio, it is yours.
Not very smart to use a school-issued phone to do something like that. I mean, that. I mean, I understand. I mean, we all have our problems. I understand that. I mean, as we always say. But man, I mean, what a shame. I mean, this team. I mean, Ole Miss was never known as an SEC power. That wasn't until Freeze got there, and 39-25 record over 5 years. I mean, sure, the conference record wasn't any good, but the overall record was very good. Had a Sugar Bowl win, and the shocking exit just a few weeks before preseason camp begins. And it completes a stunning fall for a coach once considered one of the profession's rising stars. Here's a man who took over after Houston Nutt was fired during a miserable 2011 season that ended with a 2-10 record. He immediately improved. I mean, Ole Miss immediately improved upon Hugh Freeze, finishing 7-6 in 2012 and winning the Birmingham Bowl. They continued to surge on the field and in recruiting over the next several years. They signed some of the nation's top recruits in 2013, including defensive lineman Robert Nkemdiche, receiver Laquan Treadwell, and offensive lineman Laramie Tunsil. And they helped put this team together, and they helped, get this thing better and the whole 9 yards. And they helped push the program to 8 wins in 2013, 9 in 2014, and a 10-3 record in 2015. But Ole Miss' newfound ability to recruit at a high level drew the attention of the NCAA, which was already investigating the school for a handful of violations that occurred during Houston Nutt's tenure. They received 2 notice of allegations letters And I know Bullock probably covered all of this, and maybe the NCAA didn't find too much from that particular exchange. The governing body reopened the investigation, sending a second NOA earlier this year that expanded the case to 21 allegations, including 17 that are level 1. And I mean, here's a guy who had an unlikely rise to major college coaching. He spent about a decade as a successful high school coach in Memphis before landing the job at Ole Miss in the mid 2000s as part of Ed Orgeron's staff. And then after Orgeron was fired in 2007, Hugh Freeze would then become the head coach at Lambuth, a tiny NAIA school in Western Tennessee. So very disconcerting, very disturbing. But, I don't know why, but I got a feeling there's more to this than meets the eye, I think. So I don't know what else there is. I don't know what else more there is to say.
Yeah, I agree, Floyd. I think there's more than meets the eye.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that. So there's more to this story, and I think it's high time we get it. We get that story. So, and let's get a quick thought from me before we move on.
Well, I'll clarify everything that you guys are saying. I think it's because of the fact that there's a lot of NCAA infractions that Hugh Freeze has caused. The Laramie Tunsil thing, that was one thing. And then, I think he knows what he did. I think what they kind of did was they put the feet to the fire because once you talked about that escort service, come on. That was probably for recruits. That's a major violation. You're not allowed to do that in recruiting. Bringing an escort service or strippers to try to convince a young high school player to come to your school. That's a major no-no in NCAA law. And Ole Miss was going to be looking at major, major, major penalties if this would have kept going. So I there's no doubt in my mind that's what's the real story. I followed a little bit about it, but not too much. Derek Ferrera, who's normally our SEC guy, he's probably got like a laundry list of the story. If you want to know what's really going on, talk to Derek Ferrera. Talk to Falcon Striker 445. He probably knows a lot more than myself, Anthony, or Michael Bullock combined. So if you want the real story, find him. He probably knows because he's probably been following this because, Derek being such the loyal guy to the SEC. So any SEC story, Ferrera's probably got the pulse on it. So it's probably him. So nothing more to say. Anthony, let's move on.
And we're going to move on to a more positive story. John Wall. John Wall reaffirmed his commitment to the Washington Wizards, agreeing to terms on a 4-year contract extension worth $170 million, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. He added the deal includes a player option for the final year and a 15% trade kicker. David Aldridge of TNT was the first to report Wall had agreed to Washington's designated player veteran exception, noting that it will pay him a total of $207 million through 2023. And Aldridge added the extension will start in 2019 after Wall's existing 5-year deal expires. Here in the NBA, averaged a career-high 23.1 points, 10.7 assists, and 2 steals a game. Also shot a career-best 45.1% from the field. And as a team, the Wizards also took a step forward in 2016-17, although they lost in the second round for the third time in 4 years. Their 49 regular season wins were 6th most in franchise history and their highest total since 78-79. Rather than Washington's Game 7 defeat to the Boston Celtics, the lasting image from the season for most Wizard fans will be Wall jumping on top of the scorer's table after hitting a game-winning three-pointer in the final seconds of Game 6. Wall's big year was well-timed for the Wizards. He made the All-NBA third team, meaning the Wizards were allowed to offer him a Supermax extension. So that's the story right there. So, well-deserved. I mean, he was a young man who thrived at the University of Kentucky. And had some good years here and there for the Wizards, but this past season was most definitely a wonderful year for the Washington Wizards and a very successful year as well. I mean, a 49-33 record. They took the Boston Celtics to the limits and then some in the second round of this year's NBA playoffs in that conference semifinal. What a series that was. A very good series, especially in Game 7. Unbelievable what we saw. I mean, I believe he and Isaiah Thomas had a scoring duel for the ages in one of the games in that series, which, made fans reminisce about Larry Bird and Dominique Wilkins nearly 30 years ago. I mean, this young man is only going to continue to get better, and not only do I think he's going to get better, but I think that team is going to get better as well. I mean, the Washington Wizards, I consider them one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, even though I still think it's all about Cleveland and Boston. I think Washington's on that second tier, along the lines of like the Toronto Raptors. I still think Cleveland and Boston are the two top class teams in the East. I mean, Washington with a little more seasoning can definitely be right along those lines. So congratulations indeed to John Wall. Well-deserved extension. Enjoy it. Don't spend it all in one place. So nothing left for me to say except I'm going to throw it to Mr. NBA. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. MF, I mean, I remember you talked. I mean, you plugged the show the other night after Cerebral Smack Talk, talking about this massive extension for Wall. 225. Is that what he said?
225 super max contract. That's going to be the measuring stick from now on in the NBA, and with the salary cap at almost $99 million for the upcoming NBA season. Deals like this, because of television rights and some other factors, this is going to become the new normal in the NBA. We're talking about contracts that you only can imagine in like Major League Baseball level. And baseball does not even have a salary cap. They don't. The NBA does, the NFL does, and the NHL does. Major League Baseball is the only company or the only organization in the world that does not have a salary cap, and now you're looking at the benefit and the greatness of the NBA because of their television rights, thanks to Turner Sports, ESPN, ABC from the Disney Corporation, and all these other companies, like Fox Sports, in certain NBA markets, to Comcast Sportsnet that covers a lot of the local teams, like for the Boston Celtics, it's Comcast Sportsnet and other teams. So this is what they want to do. This is what they were hoping for. When the players put that vote of confidence into Adam Silver and the NBA that they could continue with the money deal, that contracts like this would happen for these guys. And now you're looking at the patience paying off because the owners decided, you know what? You deserve it because you've been so good to us. We're going to throw a little caveat here. And because you are helping us make the NBA thrive, now you're going to start looking at $200 to $250 million contracts from now on. So absolutely remarkable deal for a guy who really deserves it. He is, in my eyes, the face of the franchise. And when you're a franchise player like that, you deserve the franchise money. And that's what John Wall just got. There's nothing bad to say about it. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but is he really worth that money? Well, we're going to wait and see. Now he got paid. Now you gotta prove to yourself that you're worthy of that contract. $225 million is nothing to sneeze at. Look at James Harden. He got about $225 for his deal with Houston. Steph Curry got about $220 million. But here's the thing. These are all-star players. These are great players that you're going to see year in and year out. And this is why they're worthy of this money. When you make this deal, this is what you expect. And this was the little caveat for all these superstars that if you make all NBA teams, if you make all-star, whatever, you put yourself in these positions to get the big bucks. Congratulations, John Wall. You deserve it, my friend. Wish you nothing but the best. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I like this deal. Yeah, I mean he's one of the reasons. He's one of the reasons why this. He's one of the reasons why the Wizards basically went to the postseason this year. I mean, look at some of the things he's done. I mean, a 4-time All-Star, an All-NBA third team. Some people may say, "Oh, that's too much money." I mean, he's not a Steph Curry. He's not a James Harden. Well, I mean, he did get that. He got paid, and now basically, it's time for him to try to live up to that contract. I mean, you got your team to the postseason, and this past year, of course, they beat the Atlanta Hawks in that first round series and took my team, the Celtics, to the full 7 games. And I mean, and he basically was one of the reasons why they even got to a 7th game, because of his game-winning 3-pointer in Game 6. And then even in Game 7, John Wall had 18 points and 11 assists. So Fletch pretty much mentioned everything. So congratulations, John Wall, on the contract. Now it's time for you to try to live up to that contract that you got. So nothing else to say, Florio. It's yours.
Carlos Correa, the Houston Astros All-Star shortstop and potential MVP candidate, will miss up to 2 months with a torn ligament in his left thumb, an injury that shouldn't imperil the club's playoff prospects but could hinder their postseason preparation. Correa was injured swinging at a pitch on Monday night, July 17th, in the loss to the Seattle Mariners, and left the game. MF, Michael Fletcher, the Joe Buck to my Tim McCarver. You and I we're all very high on the Houston Astros.
Absolutely.
Especially going into the postseason. And I think this injury is most definitely going to hinder their preparation.
Well, it's gonna hurt them, because a lot of people are gonna be like, is he gonna be at 100% going into the postseason now? And if you really think about it, right now, penciled in the possible World Series matchup is the LA Dodgers and the Houston Astros, because right now they're without a doubt the best teams in baseball. And a lot of people believe that they're in a collision course for the World Series. Yes, I know Chicago Cubs are probably taking umbrage. Washington National fans, Yankee fans, Red Sox fans, Cleveland fans, they're all probably saying, what? Remember what Didi Woodson was saying about Tuesday night about taking you out back and bending you over on the checkered apron? We want to do that to you right now for what you just said. So I'm gonna say this: it's bad loss. It is a devastating loss. There's no doubt about it. I'm not gonna say anything about that. But like we said, there's still a long way to go. As long as he's healthy for the start of the playoffs, Houston's gonna be fine. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, let's go.
Yeah, I mean this injury. I mean it does hurt them a little bit, but the thing is, I mean, they got a huge lead in their division, so maybe. And I'm not trying to sound mean here, but maybe it comes as a blessing in disguise. I mean, because the thing is, I mean, I mean, as the playoffs, eventually do come around. You want to start resting guys, and maybe by the time the playoffs get around, maybe Carlos Carrera could be healthy enough where he can help get this team to the World Series. Because right now, they are the best team in the American League without a shadow of a doubt. And boy, since he got called up to the majors and joined that team, and the Astros, he's one of the reasons why the Astros are a different team now. Because remember, Florio, before the Astros turned it around, what did we call this Houston Astros team?
Well, we used to call them the Dud Astros.
Huh, not anymore. Yeah, this is basically like them saying, you want to call us the Dud Astros? Well, we're going to show you who we really are anyway. And boy, howdy, they certainly have done it, and basically starting with the 2015 season where they had that complete turnaround and got to the playoffs and eventually eliminated the New York Yankees in the wild card round. Sorry to bring that up, Florio. I know that's something you didn't want to hear, but that just shows you how good this Astros team is. And then they pushed the eventual World Series champion Royals the full 5 games in the divisional round. Last year was a bit of an off year for them, but they're a different team. So basically, I think the Astros are gonna be just fine. Losing Carlos Carrera to this injury is going to hurt them a little bit, but because they had that huge lead in the division, I don't think it's really going to hurt them that much. So, nothing else to say. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, MF and I got a feeling we're going to be covering this team a lot in October, once we get to, our baseball playoff commitments, MF. You know where I'm going with that. But I got a feeling this is one team we're going to see a lot of. And, while it does hurt right now, they're going to be just fine anyway. They're running away with that Western Division anywho. They got the best record in the American League. I'll tell you right now, they're in my power rankings, but they're not as high as you would expect them to be, because we got a lot of hot teams right now playing some damn good ball right now. And I can honestly say it was maybe the easiest time I've had with the power rankings in a very long time. A lot of these were no-brainers, and I've already got my rankings set to go, although I might have to make an addendum or two because I did them late last night. But after some of the results from the night, I'm going to have to make a couple changes to them. Not that, maybe like 1 or 2 right now. But anywho, Correa, one of the many reasons why this team is so good. He complements Jose Altuve so well, and he's definitely in the MVP race, even though I think my man Aaron Judge is going to run away with it. That's just my guess because of what he's been doing this year. My Lord, has he been on fire? But right now, if I'm being real honest, Houston's going to be just fine, I think. These guys, you guys pretty much made my points for me, so I'm not going to rehash any more of it. So Houston, they're going to be just fine, no doubt about it. And I think they're definitely going to be in that World Series mix, no doubt about it. So with all that being said, let's move on now to another baseball hot stove story. JD Martinez. The Detroit Tigers traded right fielder JD Martinez to the Arizona Diamondbacks. The deal was first reported by John Paul Morosi of MLB Network. He's hitting .305 on the year with 16 homers and 39 RBI. Missed the first 6 weeks of the season due to a sprained ligament in his foot. He was traded for 3 prospects, Dewell, Lugo, Sergio Alcantara, and Jose King. Martinez will be filling in for Yasmani Tomas, who was placed on the disabled list with a groin injury. So I believe it's Michael Bullock who starts this off. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts on JD Martinez going to Arizona? And from what I've been hearing and seeing, he's actually been paying dividends already.
Yeah, he's definitely been paying dividends for the for the for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and basically, I think it was last night he mashed it. I mean, he hit his fourth home run for the Diamondbacks, so he's basically been paying off for them since they made this trade. I mean, and he was probably one of the best hitters on the Tigers. And there was one year, hold on, I'm trying to look up the numbers here. I mean, in 2014 he had 23 homers with 76 RBIs with the Detroit Tigers in 2014. So of course, before he got to the Tigers, of course, he started his career with the Houston Astros, and then of course in 2015, excuse me, 2015, he had probably his best season ever with a 282 average with 33 doubles, 38 homers, and 102 RBIs. So, and then in 2016 was a little bit of a down year for him with 22 homers and 68 RBIs, and then 2017, of course, started off with them, then gets traded. So, then he's been paying dividends for them. But the thing is, for the Diamondbacks, I don't think it's really going to help him that much because the way the Los Angeles Dodgers are playing right now, they're basically running away with that division. As I'm checking it right now, I mean, the record for Arizona is 59-43, but the only problem is they're 12 games back of the Dodgers, who are right now 71-31, if you can believe that. I mean, the Diamondbacks have probably got to be saying to themselves, what do we have to do, to catch up to them? I mean, I'll say right now, there is nothing with the way the Dodgers are playing. So, JD Martinez is doing his part.
Settle for the wild card. You're in the lead with that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best thing they can settle for right now is the wild card, because there's no freaking way they're catching up with the Dodgers with the way they're playing right now. So, he certainly has been paying dividends for them. Hopefully, he can keep that up for them if they want to make the postseason. So, nothing else to say. Floria, what's yours?
Yeah, this is definitely a big move for Arizona. They most definitely needed it. And filling in for Yasmani Tomas. And I'll tell you what, JD Martinez, halfway decent slugger with the Detroit Tigers, and now doing well with Arizona. And Zona was struggling for a little bit, but now they've started to find their groove a little bit. And let me see what I have here. Detroit's getting 3 very good prospects in return, and the week ending May 21st, he was the AL Player of the Week. He had 4 homers, 9 RBI, over 18 base 17 times in 6 games, and for that. And this year he was hitting 305, 16 homers, 39 RBI, a 1.018 OPS. He had over his 4 years with Detroit, he hit 300 with 99 homers, 285 RBI, and a 912 OPS. And 2015 All-Star, also a Silver Slugger award. He's playing for his 3rd team. He started with Houston, 2011-13, and then Detroit recently, and now with Arizona. He's a righty. He throws right. 29 years old. He'll be 30 next month. And I think it's sky's the limit now for him in Arizona. And he's going to complement. I talked about Carlos Correa complimenting Jose Altuve very well in that Houston lineup. I think JD Martinez can complement Paul Goldschmidt in that Arizona lineup. I mean, no question about it. I mean, this was a very good move and a necessary move for Arizona. As you know, they try to, they're obviously not going to win the NL West because the Dodgers are going to, run away with that thing. And they can definitely get the wild card, no doubt about it. And who knows? Maybe they could be that big threat to the Dodgers. You don't know. So only time will tell. So smart move indeed. So I don't know what else there is to say except let me throw it back to my Joe Buck here, good old MF. How is this move going to affect Arizona? Once we get to the pennant chases and all that.
Well, it already affected him because remember the first games that he came in was the 3 games against Atlanta, and they swept Atlanta right out. Like they manhandled them 3 games right out. So no, I got nothing more to say. I got nothing bad to say about it. I think Arizona will be just fine. I understand a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but what's that going to look like in the postseason? Well, we'll wait and see what happens. All I know is right now they are in position. They are definitely looking really good, and it looks like that second team is Colorado, because right now, if you look at it in at least National League wise, Colorado's got the second spot, and the only other team that actually has a legit chance of chasing them down is Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is about 4 games out, wild card wise. So everybody else is about 7.5 to 9. So if somebody gets wicked hot, in the hunt of Red October, then we'll wait and see what happens. But once we get into August and September, this is where you really got to make your run now, or else it's going to be too late. And right now, the way it looks to me, it's looking very, very, very interesting, to say the very least. So, unbelievable series. What a run it's been so far for Arizona. But, it looks like they want to make a run here. I mean, they're going to be in the power rankings tonight, folks. They're in it. When you were 6-4 and winners of 2 in a row, you're definitely in. But like Michael Bullock said, you're chasing a team in the LA Dodgers who is literally top 3 caliber. I mean, you're talking top 3, top 2 in the top 3 caliber in the power rankings, and on top of that, 8-2 and winners of 5 in a row, and they're pulling away. Nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
All right, triple main event time, boys. And this next story is definitely going to hit very close to home for all of us, especially since this is dealing with one of our many childhood heroes. And well, what else is there to say except for this? Back on Wednesday, May 24th, longtime ABC6 sports anchor Ken Bell announced his retirement. The dean of Southern Massachusetts sportscasting and one of the nicest guys on the planet makes his big announcement. It's been a pleasure, Ken Bell. You are a great sportscaster and even a better human being, said ABC6's John Mathia in a Facebook post. He retires this weekend at the end of the month. Bell has been with Channel 6 for over 30 years. It was named Rhode Island Sportscaster of the Year for the 3rd time in 2016. He previously won the award in 2015 and 2000. Over his career, Bell has covered 5 Patriots Super Bowl championships, 3 Red Sox World Series titles, college basketball, and more. The best moment of my career, said Bell, was in 2004 and again in 2007 when I covered the Red Sox winning the World Series. I had been there for all the heartache. I was at Fenway in 1978 when Bucky Dent hit the home run. I was at Shea Stadium for Game 6 of the 1986 World Series when the ball went through Bill Buckner's leg. I was there in 2003 when Aaron Boone hit the 11th inning homer to beat the Sox at Yankee Stadium. That made covering the world champion Red Sox that much more meaningful. Covering the Patriots Super Bowls has also been memorable, and I was there when the Celtics last won an NBA title in 2008, said Bell in his biography. All right. I'm gonna openly admit this. And Ken Bell happens to be a good friend of my aunt. I think you've heard me mention this on the show numerous times. Um, Ken Bell is a longtime good friend of my aunt Michelle and her son Ben, my cousin. He even went to visit my cousin Ben, when he was in the hospital, a few years ago when he had his tonsils removed. I mean, I remember. I mean, I wasn't there. I mean, I heard about it, and I was like, man, I wish I could have been there. I could have met him, and I've been trying to, get him to listen to our show for many years, and I'll also admit, I'm proud to admit, I'm a Facebook friend of his, and when you think Channel 6, you can't help but think about Ken Bell. I mean, he's a lifer. I mean, he's been there for, like I said, he's been there for over 30 years. I think he's one of the last originals from 30 years ago to still be there to this day. I mean, so many new people have come in and come and gone, and he's brought in all these, young sports anchors, like their current weekend anchor Nick Coit, and of course Hinani Stevens, and of course a personal friend of our show, Courtney Fallon, who of course drew the eye of Derek Ferreira, one of Derek's personal favorites, and Don Coyne, and so many others that Ken Bell was influential in bringing in as the sports director of Channel 6. And I mean he's been through it all, and I mean reading his biography on Channel 6. I mean, he always loved sports. I mean, but he had a back problem that would not allow him to play after Little League. He became fascinated by sports casting, but he was very shy. It wasn't until he was forced to take a speech course in the 8th grade that he discovered a hidden talent. And his junior and senior high speech teachers had the greatest impact on his life. His favorite sport is football. All-time favorite athlete is Larry Bird because of how hard he played the game. And he really enjoyed meeting the players and finding out what motivated them. His favorite stories are on athletes who had to overcome great adversity to succeed. He loved covering sports because the people in the seasons were always changing. And he would like to be known as a person who had passion for his job and cared for the community in which he lived. He loved covering sports and also realized that life is more than fun and games. He also wants to be known as a team player at Channel 6, doing his part to help the whole news team succeed. He enjoys running and jogging about 4.5 miles a day. His favorite thing to do is hike in the mountains. Being originally from Colorado, he grew up hiking and really enjoyed spending time in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And he also devotes a lot of time to serving his church. I mean, that's awesome right there, because he's also a deacon at a church in East Greenwich. He really enjoyed covering sports in the area. Great to have the Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, and Bruins close enough to cover closely. Great to have our own identity with PC, URI, Brown, the P Bruins, and the Paw Sox. Nice to be able to cover players who one day played for the Red Sox and Bruins. And thankful to be able to work at ABC6 for over 30 years, because it gave him a great sense of the history of sports in New England. And he said, somebody asked him if he was to be granted an exclusive interview with someone living or dead, who would you choose and what would you ask? And who did he say? Being the man of God that he is, our Lord and Savior, Jesus. Talk about life.
Come for you.
He said the best moment of my career was when he covered the Red Sox winning the World Series, and and he says, I was there when the Celtics last won the NBA title in 08, and he says hopefully there will be many more titles to cover. And well, he covered a Red Sox World Series in 2013, the whole Boston Strong team. I'll never forget MF's call when they won that. One of your personal best, MF, honestly. And also covered 2 more Patriots Super Bowls, and the last 2 Patriots Super Bowls were perhaps the 2 greatest Super Bowls of all time. I mean, Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest, at 49, and then of course the greatest comeback and the greatest Super Bowl of all time in 51. when they came back from the 28-3 deficit to beat Atlanta in Houston. And he was there with Nick Coit. And, of course, a personal favorite of mine from ABC6, the beautiful Bianca Bono. And boy, did she look good that night, I'll tell you firsthand. But nonetheless, a 30-year career, an over 30-year career at Channel 6. And he, believe it or not, before he was at Channel 6, he actually worked for Channel 10 for a little bit. So I remember seeing some old videos on that. And there are so many old videos of him on YouTube. And, you know, I got enthralled and I watched a lot of them back. And, you know, it was great to see him cover all those great championship moments. But the best thing about Ken Bell is that I have talked to my aunt numerous times, and you know, I am hopeful that one day we can somehow, some way arrange for me and hopefully you guys as well to meet him personally, so we could, you know, talk about his wonderful career. And one of our, I mean, we have so many inspirations, the three of us do, especially me and MF, because you know, MF and I, from the day he and I became friends all the way back in '94. We've been friends for over 23 years. And one of the things that we've always wanted to do, we're doing it right now. We're living out a lifelong dream of ours. We've wanted to be commentators. We wanted to be sportscasters, you know, have shows like this, like Strictly Sports. And also, you know, do commentary for live sporting events, you know, like the NCAA tournament and, you know, the World Series and the Super Bowl, and the Stanley Cup, and the NBA and all that, college football, and even the Triple Crown of horse racing, which MF does a damn good job of. And one of the many reasons why we wanted to get into this was because of Ken Bell. So, Ken Bell, you know, I got to do it like we always do it. It doesn't matter if it's a death or a retirement. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the same thing. So Ken Bell, at the end of this, in just a few days, you wrap it up. You call it a career. He wants to spend more time with his family and his grandchildren. And, you know, he wants to do more for his church in East Greenwich, which he's a deacon of. Ken Bell, nothing left for me to say except, you know, I got to do it. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you, Ken Bell. And Meth, it's all yours.
Wow. There's really nothing to say, guys. I mean, what he's done, the body of work of Ken Bell, and what he's brought to New England sports fans is insurmountable. I was very, I just marveled at his great work, you know, from handling all the stuff. I never got to meet Ken Bell personally, so I don't have that first knowledge or first-hand experience like Anthony Florio does, but he was such a great man and just a guy that we admire so much, you know, just like we admire Frank Carpano and Joe Rocco from NBC 10 to, you know, all the great guys from CBS 12. Ken Bell's just one of those guys we just love, respect, and we know because every time sports came on, especially for myself, for Anthony, for Michael Bullock, we were all excited because we know he was going to bring some kind of enthusiasm, some kind of thing to bring to bring the local sports all together, and you know, to do it in a unique way and a style that's all his own. For us, it's an honor. It was a privilege to see you do what you do best. And for us sports fans, we appreciate everything you've done and you brought to the table. And for us, we know the world of sports can be very interesting and very influential at times. But he made it fun for those 5 minutes that he was on the air. He made it enjoyable. He engaged us to the local sports teams. It didn't matter if it was the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots, even the NCAA when it was with Bryan College or Brown University or URI, Providence College. It was just unique understanding, and what he brought to the table was unbelievable. I got so much respect for him. Thank you, Ken Bell, so much for your service, for the duties that you did as a sports fan, and we salute you and respect you, and we wish you nothing but the best in your retirement, my friend. Michael Bullock, it's all yours.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say, guys. I mean, what Ken Bell, I mean, basically, I mean, what he meant to New England sports. I mean, he's been through it all. I mean, he's covered everything from, like you said, with the 5 Super Bowl championships that the New England Patriots have won, to the 3 World Series championships that the Red Sox have won. Of course, the Bruins winning a Stanley Cup. Of course, the Celtics winning an NBA championship. I mean, all. I mean, I mean, for him to basically do this for 35 years is nothing but impressive. I got a lot of respect for this guy, and yeah, we go back to the days, of course, like you said, with Frank Carpano and Joe Rocco, of course, with the Channel 12, and then of course, after Ken Bell retires, the only one left from the early days is obviously Frank Carpano from Channel 10. Yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. I mean, all I can say is congratulations, Ken Bell. I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. Have fun and enjoy spending time with your family and all your loved ones out there. I mean, you may no longer be on the air, but you'll never be forgotten by everyone at ABC6. So I salute you, Ken Bell. So there's really nothing more to say. So, Florio, let's get on to the second half of our, or should I say part 2 of our double main event, or triple main event, I should say.
Yes,
UFC.
Yes, part 2 of our triple main event. Michael Bullock, you take a breather for this because it's all about MF here. Because it's time, as we will preview UFC 214. UFC 214 will be live tomorrow night from the Honda Center, formerly the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California, exclusively on pay-per-view. Of course, preliminary card, which will be seen on UFC Fight Pass. You will see Josh Berkman take on Drew Dober in a lightweight bout, Eric Shelton against Jared Brooks in a flyweight bout, and Kaylin Curran against Alexandra Albu in a women's strawweight bout. And then we move on to the preliminary card on FXX. Andre Fili against Calvin Kattar in a featherweight bout. Brian Ortega against Renato Moicano in a featherweight bout. Aljamain Sterling against Renan Barao in a catchweight bout. And Ricardo Lamas against Jason Knight in a featherweight bout. Oh boy. I mean, MF mentioned about how stacked this main card was. I didn't even know. I'm just looking at it now for the first time, and I'm like, oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this card. Whoa. Jimmy Manua against Volkan Oezdemir in a light heavyweight bout. That may be the only meh fight on this card because the next 4, we got power heavyweight bouts right here. Ruthless Robbie Lawler will take on the Cowboy Donald Cerrone in a welterweight bout. Chris Cyborg is going to be on this card. Chris Cyborg is going to take on Tanya Evinger in a women's featherweight bout. And then not 1, but 2 championship matches. For the welterweight championship, Tyron Woodley will defend against Damian Mahia. And in the main event of the evening, for the UFC light heavyweight championship, Daniel Cormier to defend against former champion John Bones Jones. Whoa. And Matt, if you weren't kidding when you said this card was stacked, my goodness, I mean, UFC 214, you'll be there with Alex Zapato, good friend of our show, at Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm sure, tomorrow night.
No, not happening. Not happening. No, first off, me and Zapato had a falling out, so we're not hanging out anymore.
Oh, wow.
2, I'm not going to be at the Buffalo Wild Wings tomorrow night for the fight because I got another commitment beyond that I'm doing tomorrow night anyway. So
I stand corrected then. All right.
Yes.
But 14 though.
I will talk about this fight card. Vulcan versus Jimmy Manjoa. This is gonna be a good match. This is gonna be 2 light heavyweight guys. Basically both guys outside of the top 10. This is kind of a, like Anthony said, it's really more of a, you win the fight, you go up in the rankings. There's really nothing much to talk about this one. So I'm just gonna dive right into the next fight. Ruthless Robbie Lawler, former UFC welterweight champion of the world, goes up against the Cowboy Donald Cerrone, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. This is going to be fun. I can't wait for this battle. This is going to be one heck of a fight, to say the very least. Robbie Lawler, I mean, after he lost the title to Tyron Woodley not too long ago, now he's actually getting his first opportunity, and they've been trying to get this fight done for about 2 or 3 times now. What happened was, at first it was supposed to be Donald Cerrone was originally supposed to fight on June 28th, but the fight got called off due to the fact that Cerrone has suffered an injury. It was a minor injury, and basically the UFC decided that they did not want to have Donald fight after he suffered a staph infection, and he also had a pulled groin. So they were like, you know what? No, let's just take it easy. We'll do another fight. Let's just have a match sometime down the line. So UFC 213 is going to be the fight. So for Robbie Lawler, this is technically his first fight since losing to Tyron Woodley and Donald Cerrone. Basically, he takes a fight for anything. The Cowboy is one of those where he'll fight anybody at any weight class, anytime, any place, anywhere. He's going to do it. He did fight, the last fight he had was against Jose Masvidal. Unfortunately, he did lose that fight, which was a damn shame because he had a 4-fight win streak going into that fight. But now he's back, and he's looking to, work up the ladder as he normally has done in the past. Like I said, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. This guy just is a competitor. He's known as the most busiest fighter in the UFC. Why? Well, because he normally fights more than 4 times a year. I mean, he fights at least 5-6 times a year, and whenever UFC is always in a pinch, this guy always steps up like, yeah, I'll take a fight. I'll fight anybody. At one time, I remember he was willing to fight Conor McGregor on 2 weeks' notice, for heaven's sake. So, I mean, yeah, this would have been fun. This is going to be interesting to say, the very least. So, we're going to move on to the next fight, which is, like you said, Tanya Evinger versus Chris Cyborg. Now, Anthony, I need to quote you or note on something on this. You said that this was a featherweight fight. It's for the vacant UFC Women's Featherweight Championship. This is a title fight. What happened was Jermaine, who won the title, basically was supposed to fight Chris Cyborg next. She refused to fight her, and thus the UFC decided to strip her of the belt. Now, this was originally... Now, what also was supposed to happen was in the case of, let me see if I can find the. All right, so she was supposed to fight against Jermaine. Jermaine intended that she was not going to face her. So the UFC decided to strip her of the belt. Now, originally, she was supposed to fight Megan Anderson, who is the current Inviction featherweight champion, but Anderson pulled out due to personal reasons beyond her control on June 27th, and the current the current Inviction bantamweight champion, Tanya Evinger, she's taking the fight now. So that's the reason why that happened. It was crazy beyond belief. I mean, there's really nothing more to say about this fight. This is going to be one of those big fights. So what's going to happen next? Well, we're going to see. Now we're going up with a big title fight. Tyrod Woodley going up against former UFC middleweight championship contender Damian Maia. This is going to be a great matchup. Maia, a multi-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, and not only that, but he is a really good fighter too. I mean, Maia has been, the record says for himself. He has done really well lately. He's 25-6, and not only that, he's won the last 7 fights in a row. He's 7-0. He's won the last 7 fights, well deserving of the opportunity. We're gonna see what happens now. This is gonna be a big time championship fight, and then the main event. Do I even need to talk about this fight? Do I even need to hype this fight? It's already been hype. Daniel DC Cormier versus Jon Bones Jones, UFC light heavyweight championship of the world, title on the line. They fought once before at UFC 182. Jon Jones successfully defended the title by unanimous decision. Then all the trouble started. Jon Jones got himself in trouble with the law, a hit-and-run incident that had him stripped of the belt. Daniel Cormier won the vacated title at UFC 197. Then Jon Bones Jones, the rematch was set for UFC 197. Daniel Cormier pulled out due to injury 3 weeks before the fight. So Jon Jones won the interim title. Then they were going to do it again at UFC 200. Well, unfortunately, the fight never happened because Jon Jones got caught performance-enhancing drugs. Basically, it wasn't steroids. It was an out-of-competition. Basically, I believe he was he got punished for, I think it was marijuana again. He got caught for marijuana. So then there was the dispute about Daniel Cormier. Did he do a fair weigh-in against Anthony Rumbles Johnson in the last UFC pay-per-view? That got me into a big-time ranting rage more than anything else. But now, here we are. Both men made weight at the 205 level. They're set. They're ready to go. It's put up or shut up. There's no more excuses. No more arguments. No more complaining. You got to settle it in the octagon tomorrow night. If there's one event you don't want to miss, this is that event. You talk about McGregor and Mayweather. You talk about the big mega fight between Triple G and Canelo Alvarez later in the year. For the MMA world, this is without a doubt one of the biggest fights of the year. This is a big event, no doubt about it. It's only fitting that it's at the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, the Honda Center. This place is going to be rocking tomorrow night. No doubt about it. Anthony Floyo, nothing more to say. It is all yours, my friend.
All right, another great UFC preview, MF, and I'm sure we'll probably get your recap of it next week here on Strictly Sports. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to get into our overall main event of the evening, Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I mean, we haven't done this in God knows how long, 3 weeks. I mean, man, not since the July 7th edition of our show. 2 weeks ago, of course, we didn't do it because it coincided with the All-Star break. And then last week we didn't have Strictly Sports. We had our Battleground preview edition instead. So I don't think it would be a trifle. I think we'll probably just go back as far as All-Star break goes when it comes to, when we go down the results and all that. So before I start, of course, we got to do honorable mentions and duds. As far as how many do I have in here? I believe I have 3 duds that I have to address. First and foremost, the Minnesota Twins. They've lost 4 in a row, 3 and 7 in their last 10. Another dud, the Tampa Bay Rays. 2 in a row, 3 and 7 in their last 10. And of course, the Milwaukee Brewers, even though they won tonight, they're still 3 and 7 in their last 10 games. Honorable mentions, first and foremost, St. Louis Cardinals. 5 and 5 in the last 10. They've won 1 in a row. They're just under 500. They're 1 game under 500, 51 and 52. And then another honorable mention, the Texas Rangers, 5 and 5 in their last 10, 50 and 52 overall. And this one is a little bit on the fence right now. The Seattle Mariners, they're in honorable mention mode right now. They're leading the Mets 5-4 after 5. If Seattle hangs on and wins, I might have to put them at my number 10. And unfortunately, because we have certain teams that are 5 and 5 and, they're under 500, I'm going to have to do an under 500 last 10 only for one team only. So with that being said, I'm going to start it off at number 10. This is my only reluctant move of the power rankings right here, guys. And that number 10, I'm sorry to say, Michael Bullock, it's your Boston Red Sox. 4 and 6 in their last 10 games, 56 and 48. And they're now behind the 8 ball in the AL East because of my team. I can't believe what I'm seeing with them. They never cease to amaze me, but I'll get more into them later. 3rd in ERA, 8th in batting average, 11th in home runs allowed, 12th in runs scored. I mean, they've free-fallen, and not in a good way. Since the All-Star break, they split a 4-game series with the New York Yankees. They also split a 4-game series with the Toronto Blue Jays. They did lose 2 out of 3 to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and they also lost 2 out of 3 to the Seattle Mariners, and they lost tonight to the red hot Kansas City Royals. And they've got 2 more games against the Royals this weekend, and then they got the American League champion Cleveland Indians coming in for 3 starting Monday. And then following that, next weekend, they will welcome the Chicago White Sox to Fenway for a 4-game series. So, man, a little bit of some hard times for the Bo Sox. And now they're half a game behind the Yankees in the AL East. And, yeah, so that pretty much covers it. So, my number 10, reluctantly, it is the Boston Red Sox. So, MF, let's get your number 10 now.
Yes, I agree. It's the Boston Red Sox. This was, like you said, Anthony, this was kind of a reluctant move more than anything else. But, that's how the power rankings do go. So, with that said, Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Red Sox at number 10 as well. I mean, what is going on with this team? I mean, June 29th, they took over first place, and they've held on to it, and they've been struggling now. I mean, the offense is the worst part of it, and And don't get me started on the whole David Price, Dennis Eckersley situation, because I swear if we talked about this, I would have gone off big time. Red Sox are number 10. Flory, what's yours?
All right, we're gonna let MF start off at number 9. So, MF, who do you have at number 9 here? I know who I have. I don't know who you have.
Well, okay. This one's kind of a little bit of a tricky move because, like you said, there's a lot of good teams here this time around. There's not that much, I want to say, parity here. And, I could easily say this. So, I mean, I'm going to go with my number 9 here. And let's see. Do I want to make... Is it going to be Arizona? Do I want to put the... Should I do Arizona here? Yeah, I'm probably thinking Arizona. I'm thinking Arizona. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards right now. Or actually, do I want to do Arizona? Or do I want to do Houston? I'm leaning towards Houston. I think I'm going to do it. I know that might be a little bit of a wrong move, but whatever. Houston Astros is my number 9. I'm sorry. Like you said, the top of the order is easy. Once you get to the bottom, it's kind of tricky for me right now. And I'm kind of doing this on the fly too. So I didn't have that much time like everybody else does. So nothing more to say. You go ahead, Michael Bullock. No,
Yeah.
my number 9 is Houston.
This is where I disagree. You had it right the first time, Fletch, but I'm going to go with who you had right the first time, and that's the Arizona Diamondbacks as my number 9.
Yes.
Yeah. I got the Astros higher, if I'm going to be quite honest. Let me go over the body of work of the Arizona Diamondbacks, of course. I mean, they're 5-5. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're 59-44 in the NL West. They've lost one in a row, and of course, let me give me just a minute here. I'm just going to pull up the things on the Arizona Diamondbacks here. So give me just a brief moment here. All right, here we go. Yes, of course, right now they are losing to they did lose to the Diamondbacks tonight, so basically that's why they had 1-2 in a row before tonight. So so the schedule coming up for them, 2 more with the Cardinals over the weekend, an off day on Monday, and then a 3-game set against the Chicago Cubs. And then next weekend, when we do our power rankings, they got a 3-game set with the San Francisco Giants. So we'll see how the Diamondbacks play out. So with that being said, Arizona Diamondbacks are my number 9. I got the Houston Astros, like I said, higher than that. So Florio, I give it to you.
I agree with you, Michael Bullock. You had it right. MF did not. It is the Arizona Diamondbacks at number 9. They've lost tonight to St. Louis. They're 5-5 in the last 10, 59-44, 12.5 out in the division. They're second in ERA, second in home runs allowed, 6th in runs scored, 10th in batting average. And since our last, they got swept 3 in a row by Fletcher's Braves in Atlanta, which stunned me. But they made it up for that. They won 2 out of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati, lost 2 out of 3 to the Washington Nationals, got revenge on Fletcher's Braves, winning 2 out of 3 from Atlanta at home, and they're so far 1-1 against St. Louis in a 4-game series. 2 more against the Cardinals this weekend, and then they're off on Monday, and then they got the The reigning and defending World Series champion Chicago Cubs coming in for 3. Well, actually, they're going to Chicago, I should say. They're going to Wrigley for a 3-game series Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then next weekend, they go up to San Francisco to take on the very disappointing San Francisco Giants. Can you believe how bad they are this year, guys? Wow. 40-63 the Giants are. They're last in that division. And one of the worst teams in the National League, which really baffles me, considering that they won 3 World Series in like a 5 or 6 year stretch. So, man, that really surprises me. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say on that. So, it's Arizona at number 9. So, I'll take number 8 for a spin. And yeah, my number 8, it is the same division, the Colorado Rockies. Despite the fact that they've lost 3 in a row, they're still 6-4 in their last 10 games, 58-45, 13.5 out in the West. They're a game behind Arizona. They're 3rd in batting average, 3rd in runs scored, 16th in home runs allowed, but they're 25th in ERA. And that's not good at all. But then again, that's been the story of Colorado for the last 2 decades. Offense is really good. The pitching, not so much. That's all I can say there. They lost 2 out of 3 to the New York Mets at Citi Field. 3-game sweep with the San Diego Padres. Then won 2 out of 3 with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they were actually playing some good ball. But then this week, they got swept 3 in a row by the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. And they were outscored 21-9 in those 3 games. And then they got rained out tonight against the Washington Nationals. So they play tomorrow, and then a day-night doubleheader on Sunday, off on Monday, and then they got the New York Mets coming in for 3. And then next weekend, they got the Philadelphia Phillies coming in for 3. So maybe they have a chance here. I mean, Mets are, middle of the road, while Philadelphia, well, they're terrible. So they should have no trouble with Philly. Maybe they may have some issues with the Mets. We'll see. So let's see what happens. So my number 8, Colorado Rockies, despite losing 3 in a row, they're still 6-4 in the last 10, and the record's still very good. And they're definitely within that wild card race. So what do you make of that, MF?
Yeah, like I said, I was flying pretty fast on it. So I actually didn't get to see, because I'm using the Major League Baseball, the records on MLB.com, and they had not updated it. Them freaking nimrods. So yeah, I was able to see it now. So Arizona definitely goes a little more higher. They actually get the number 9 spot. Number 8 is Colorado. So I'm with you on that, Florio. So Bullet, go, it's yours.
Yeah, Colorado Rockies. They're my number 8 too. So let's just move on to our number 7.
Number 7 is pretty simple. This is where Houston goes. I think we all can agree with that now. So Houston Astros is clearly number 7. The 6-4, 68-34. That still is the best in Major League Baseball. Well, at least the best record in the American League. They no longer have the best record in the league because a certain team from Chavez Ravine has been killing it lately. And yet they're not the number 1 team in the power rankings this week. You're like, somebody's done better than them? Oh yeah. You're not gonna believe who we have at number 1 this week. You guys are gonna be ripping us. I swear you guys are gonna be tearing us to shreds. So Michael Bullock, it's yours. Houston is at number 7.
Yeah, this is where I have them. The Houston Astros are my number 7, and like you said, they have the best record in the American League. Yeah, I mean, they're not the best team in baseball. I mean, there's another team who's the best team in baseball, and that's a team in Chavez Ravine, and I'm going to agree with you, Fletch, and can't believe I'm going to be saying this, but they're not the number one team in the power rankings. And I'm sure there's going to be some people that are going to be crying foul over this. They're going to be like, well, what? I'm like, wait. They'll be like, wait a minute. 71-31, and they're not the number one team in the power rankings? Well, we don't go by the records. We go by the body of work. There's actually a team that's actually been playing better than them. Well, we'll get to that when we get to that certain team. So, yeah, like you said, 6-4 in their last 10. Of course, they won tonight over the Detroit Tigers 6-5. Of course, they got two more with the Houston. They got two more with the Detroit Tigers. I should say over the weekend, and then of course after the Tigers, they got a 4-game set with the Tampa Bay Rays, and then a 3-game set with the Blue Jays next weekend. So it's on to the American League East for the Houston Astros. So number 7 is the Houston Astros. Florio, it's yours.
Yes, indeed, and MF got it right. Houston Astros, number 7 as well. 6-4 in the last 10. Winners tonight over the Detroit Tigers, 6-5. Since our last rankings, they won. Since the All-Star break, rather, they won 2 out of 3 from the Minnesota Twins. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Seattle Mariners. Won 2 out of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles. Won 2 out of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies, and won tonight against the Detroit Tigers. 2 more against them this weekend, and then, like Bullock said, 4-game series with Tampa Bay starting Monday, and then they got Toronto coming in for a 3-gamer next weekend. So and now they start the journey without Carlos Correa. So we'll see how that impacts them going forward. But 68-34, best record in the American League, second best overall. So nothing more to say there. So number 7 is the Houston Astros. And now we move on to number 6. Number 6, this is where I have your reigning and defending World Series champion, Chicago Cubs. 54-48. They lost tonight, but they are still 7-3 in their last 10 games. They lead the Milwaukee Brewers by half a game in the NL Central. Finally starting to play like that team that went all the way this past year. 7th in ERA, 13th in home runs allowed, 15th in runs scored, but they're 24th in batting average. So you got to watch that. Since the All-Star break, they started off the All-Star break really well. They played very well since the All-Star break, let's be honest. 3-game sweep of the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. Then they kicked the doors down at SunTrust Park, MF, and made themselves at home. Swept your Bravos out of the stadium 3 in a row. And then they won 2 out of 3 from the St. Louis Cardinals at home. And then in that very unique 4-game interleague series with the Chicago White Sox, they won 3 out of 4. They split the 2 games at Wrigley, but then the Cubs swept the 2 games at U.S. Cellular Field. But they did lose to Milwaukee tonight at Miller Park. So if it wasn't for that, this team would have been definitely in the top 5. They got 2 more against the Brewers this weekend, and then they're off on Monday. And then they have the Arizona Diamondbacks coming in for a 3-game series with power ranking implications, oh, by the way. As will their series next weekend, also at home, against the Washington Nationals. Whoa. All right, Cubs. You're finally playing like that World Series team of a year ago. Keep it up if you want to make history again. So, nothing more to say. Chicago Cubs, number 6. How about it, MF?
Yeah, number 6, I gotta agree with you. It has to be the Chicago Cubs. Where everything that you brought to the table, Anthony, there's a very compelling argument, no doubt in my mind. So yes, the Cubs are number 6. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Number 6, Chicago Cubs. So, yeah, so now we're into the top 5, Florio. So, well, basically, we're going to have Fletch started off.
Pretty simple, guys. It's the Washington Nationals at number 5, 61-39, 7-3 in the last 10 games, winners of 2 in a row, including a 15-2 knockout of the Milwaukee Brew Crew. Man, I mean, you want to talk about a just a straight up bushwhacking they took. Well, that was from the other day. They were supposed to play against Colorado tonight. Unfortunately, Mother Nature was not having it. Rain out at the nation's capital, not too fun at all. So sorry guys, if you're looking for some baseball, you got one game tomorrow, and then I think the old what Willie Mays used to say, let's play 2 on Sunday. So we're gonna play 2 on Sunday, a double dip, and nothing more to say. So Mike Bullock is yours.
Number 5 is the Washington Nationals. I couldn't agree with you more there, Fletch. So, Florio, what's yours?
Make it unanimous. It is the Washington Nationals at number 5, 61-39. Winners of 2 in a row, 7-3 in the last 10. Second best record in the National League. Here's another team that's done very well since the All-Star break. 4-game sweep of the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. And man, did they pound them, boys. Oof. 35-12 in those 4 games. They split a 2-game interleague series with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Won 2 out of 3 from the Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona. And then won 2 out of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers at home. Got rained out tonight against Colorado. And it was Ernie Banks, MF. The late, great Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub, who famously said, let's play 2. And that's what they'll do on Sunday, day-night doubleheader, in addition to the game tomorrow night. So those 3 games against Colorado this weekend. And then they got the Miami Marlins coming in. Well, actually, no, they're going to Miami for a 3-game series with the Marlins. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off on Thursday. And then that big 3-game series at Wrigley Field against the Chicago Cubs. Power ranking implications aplenty in that one. So, second in batting average, second in runs scored, 9th in ERA, 18th in home runs allowed. So, nothing more to say on that. So, number 5, it is the Washington Nationals. Number 4, man, this team never ceases to amaze me. I didn't have any high hopes for this team going into this year. They surprised me playing very well. Then they had a major rough stretch, but now they're flexing their muscle again. My number 4, it's my team. It's the New York Yankees. 55-46, back on top in the AL East. Yes, it's by half a game over Bullock's Red Sox, but we'll take it. Winners of 5 in a row, 8-2 in the last 10 games. I cannot believe what this team is doing right now. This team just never ceases to amaze me. Unbelievable. 4th in runs scored, 5th in batting average, 5th in ERA, 9th in home runs allowed. And since the All-Star break, they split a 4-game series with Bullock's Red Sox at Fenway Park. Yes, they did lose 2 out of 3 to the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota. But then they won 3 out of 4 from the Seattle Mariners at Safeco Field. Swept the Cincinnati Reds 2 in a row in a 2-game interleague series. Outscored them 13-7. And so far, 2 for 2 against the Tampa Bay Rays in a 4-game series. Man, oh man alive. 2 more games against the Rays this weekend. And then they got the Detroit Tigers coming in for a 3-game series at the stadium. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then starting Thursday. Major power ranking implications here. A 4-game series against the reigning and defending American League champion Cleveland Indians in Cleveland at Progressive Field. All right, Yanks, this is where you got to shine right here. The Cleveland Indians are white hot right now. They're playing like that team that not only went to the World Series, but in my opinion, should have won it. Even though I wanted the Cubs to win them. I praise God that they did. But they're not going to have any trouble. I mean, they've owned Tampa Bay. I mean, they've beaten Tampa Bay like I think they're 5-0 against Tampa Bay at the stadium this year. So I don't think they're going to have any issues with Tampa. I don't think they're even going to have any issues with Detroit, honestly, because Detroit, oof, my lord, they're not any better. They've lost 4 in a row. They're 3-7 in their last 10, 45-56. And the Stros are going to beat the crap out of them. Let's face it. So the Stros are going to soften them up for us, and they shouldn't have any trouble with them. And then, but Cleveland, though, oh, I'm scared. I'm worried. What me worry? Like Alfred E. Newman, the Mad Magazine. What me worry? Yeah, me worry a lot. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not just worried. I'm petrified because Cleveland is playing like that team that won the American League and went to the World Series. And, I'm scared. Tito's got him playing damn good ball again. If only this series had happened when they were struggling, then I'd feel a lot better. The Judge has been unbelievable. He hit another moonshot in Seattle. I mean, you would think after what he did in the home run derby that he was going to lose some steam. Oh no, he's just getting warmed up. He's just scratching the surface. The man who I think is going to win not only the Rookie of the Year, but also the American League MVP. I don't care what anybody says. If you want to debate me on that, go right ahead. The Judge is going to win it all. That's all I can say on that. So, man, I'm excited. Number 4, New York Yankees, no doubt about it. So, MF, what do you got to say about that?
Well, it's a good thing the Judge has been waking up, because if you remember at start of after the All-Star break, the Judge was caught in his chambers. It was like he was not coming out. He was slumping. It kind of was like one of those things where you're like, wait a minute. I thought the Judge was going to be red hot. I mean, he was pulverizing the baseball like you wouldn't even believe, knocking home runs left and right. I think he had like 30 at the break, and now he's finally looking like he's starting to get back to his form again. So yeah, it looks like they're doing great. I mean, there's not really nothing bad to say about the New York Yankees this year. Out of all the years, they've just been doing it right. I kind of have to say the only thing that I'd be a little worried about is their middle relief. That's the only thing. Offensively, they're great, but middle relief and getting to the closer, that's going to be the big thing for the Yankees. If they can shore that up at the trading deadline, which is actually in a couple of days, July 31st is right around the corner, and that's when the trading deadline is, guys. So as long as they can make a couple of deals there on trading deadline day, then no doubt about it, I think the Yankees will be fine. They'll win the division. Sorry, Michael Bullock, I know you're probably coming after me for that, but I think the Yankees are going to win the AL East. I think they're that good right now. They're really strong. And then, like you said, there's some big games coming up, but you got to figure out teams like Kansas City. You got to figure out teams like Cleveland, especially Cleveland and Houston. Those are the 2 teams right now you got to beat, Yankees, if you want to get to the World Series, because right now the only thing that is stopping you is Cleveland and Houston. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yes, number 4. It is the New York Yankees. Yeah, they continue to impress me. I mean, going into the season, I too didn't have high expectations for them, but they certainly have surpassed it. So, nothing more to say. Yankees are number 4, and let's move on to number 3.
This one's really simple, guys. The number 1 team in the National League has an 8.5 game lead on the best record in the National League, and they are 3 games ahead of every team in Major League Baseball. The best record in the league, 8-2, winners of 5 in a row. And right now, my pick to represent the National League in the World Series, yes, I said it, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are red freaking hot right now. They are absolutely killing it. 44-13 at Chavez Ravine, 27-18 everywhere else, and they're oh my God, are they so good right now? Again, a couple of pieces at the trading deadline, this team could make the World Series. I mean, they're that good. They're that good. They're that strong. They're that amazing. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, yes, the number 3. It is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, I know there's going to be some people around Chavez Ravine or anywhere else that does power rankings. It's going to be ripping us to shreds, saying, "Wait a minute, this team's 71-31. Have them at number 3 in your power rankings?" Well, yeah, I mean, record-wise, they should be number 1, but have the body of work with what they do in the last 10 games and when it comes to winning streaks too. So that's and when it comes to the Dodgers, they're 8-2 in their last 10 and they've won 5 in a row, while the other two, the top 2 teams in our power rankings, well, they're actually better than them. So I know to other people around here, this is not going to be a popular decision. But you know what? We're going to stick with our decision. Los Angeles Dodgers number 3. Or what's yours?
Make it unanimous once again. The Los Angeles Dodgers number 3. Winners of 5 in a row, 8-2 in the last 10. Just like the Yankees, but they get the benefit of the doubt because they have the better record than the Yankees. Duh, obviously. So that's why they got to go ahead of the Yanks. They currently lead the San Francisco Giants, their most hated rivals, 6-4. So they are number 1 in ERA, number 1 in home runs allowed, 5th in runs scored, and 8th in batting average. Since the All-Star break, 3-game sweep of the Miami Marlins in Miami. Swept the Chicago White Sox 2 in a row in a 2-game interleague series in Chicago. They split the only downside, a 4-game. They split a 4-game series with Fletcher's Braves 2-2. Fletcher's Braves won the first 2 games, but then the Dodgers won the final 2 games. And then this week, a 3-game sweep of the Minnesota Twins at home. They were off on Thursday. They lead the Giants right now 6-4. 2 more games against the Giants this weekend. Tomorrow they'll be playing on Fox Sports 1, the Saturday game of the week. MF and I will be covering that. Looking forward to that as always. And then Sunday night, Michael Bullock, your favorite, Sunday Night Baseball, Giants and Dodgers. Have fun with that, my man. You're going to love that. And then they're off on Monday. And then MF, guess who you get to welcome this week? Welcome to Atlanta, Dodgers. Have fun. And they are going to tee off on that Braves pitching. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be awesome. That's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily. I thought they were going to tee off on us the last time out, and we actually took one of their best pitchers and gave them a rude welcoming to Dodger Town. So, I mean, I'm not afraid. I mean, if the pitching lines up the way that I hope it lines up, where we get their bad ones, like the 3, 4, 5 guys, then I'm more than willing to take them. And plus, Kershaw's out. So,
yeah, that's right.
I mean, you might think for one second that we might be afraid of the Dodgers. We're not. I mean, we went in when they were red hot, and we took the first 2 games on them. Now we could have won the 3 or 4, but a couple of late game leads got blown to bits. But that's besides the point.
All right, fair enough. But nonetheless, the Dodgers will be in Atlanta on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then next weekend, they go up to Citi Field to take on the Mets for a 3-game series. So, yep, Clayton Kershaw is injured. Derek Ferreira, I remember, did a video about that this week. So, We'll see how they do without him, but they're going to be fine anyway. 71-31. I think it's going to be 72-31 when all is said and done, because they lead the Giants right now 6-4. So I think it's right around the seventh or eighth inning right now. So they should be fine. So Los Angeles Dodgers are number 3, and I believe Michael Bullock is actually ready for number 2. Am I right on that, Bullock?
You better believe it, Florio.
All right, who is it?
My number 2. This is plain and simple. The Cleveland Indians. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but they have won 8 straight games, and yep, you're reigning and defending American League champion Cleveland Indians. I mean, boy, what a difference this team is. At the beginning of the season, this team was struggling, but boy, they certainly have picked it up and have been on an absolute tear. These of course, they did get a win tonight over the Chicago White Sox. Of course, win over the White Sox tonight, 9-3. Of course, they got 2 more with the White Sox, and then of course 3 games in Boston against the Red Sox, and then of course, and then Florio, it's a 4-game set against your New York Yankees. That to me is, and I'll be quite honest, Florio, this is a series I'm gonna have a vested interest in, because remember the old days of the Indians and the Yankees when they went at it in the playoffs?
Yes, I do, Bullock, very well.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we may start getting that feeling again.
Oh, absolutely.
With the way these two teams are playing, so this is not only could be a potential playoff preview, but this definitely has power rankings implications. So with that being said, Cleveland Indians are my number 2. Wario, what says you?
Right there with you, Bullock. Number 2, your reigning and defending American League champion Cleveland Indians. Winners of 8 in a row, 8-2 in the last 10 games. 2-game lead over the Royals in the AL Central. 56-45. 4th in ERA, 4th in home runs allowed, 6th in batting average, 9th in runs scored. They started very slowly at the All-Star break. They got swept 3 in a row by the Oakland A's in Oakland. They then lost 2 out of 3 to the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. But then after that, they woke up. 3-game sweep of the Toronto Blue Jays at home. Won a makeup game against the Cincinnati Reds on Monday. And then a 3-game sweep of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Swept them out of Cleveland, outscoring them 23-12 in the process. And then from there, a 9-3 beatdown of the White Sox in Chicago tonight. 2 more games against the White Sox this weekend. And then after that, Cleveland, whoa. You got a tough one. You got a tough series coming up. A 3-game series with Michael Bullock's Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. And then from there, the big series next weekend. Well, starting Thursday, actually. A 4-game series at home against the once again red-hot New York Yankees. And yes, Michael Bullock, you're absolutely right. For the first time in a very long time, Yankee-Indian games are actually going to mean something. They haven't meant something since they met in the playoffs those 2 years. 1997, Division Series, which the Indians won in 5 games. I cannot tell you how brokenhearted I was by that defeat. A skinny 14-year-old kid in the 8th grade at that point. Oh yeah, I was brokenhearted. Big time brokenhearted. But the following year made up for that. I was still a skinny little kid, but I was a 15-year-old skinny kid in the 9th grade getting ready to graduate junior high when the Yankees got their payback on the Indians in the ALCS, beat them in 6, and then, of course, they had no trouble with the Padres whatsoever in the World Series. Greatest team of all time. I don't care what anybody says. That 98 team will forever be the greatest of all time unless I see someone better. So, story for another day, but But yeah, the Indians though. Red Sox and after the White Sox, they got the Sox and the Yanks. They got the Sox in Boston, but they got the Yanks at home. That's crucial. It'll be the most anticipated Yankee Indian series in a very long time, and I can't wait. Thursday cannot come fast enough. And I know next week we're going to talk a lot about that. We'll probably be 2 games in at this point by the time we do the rankings next week. So we'll see who's better. So we'll see. So right now, number 2, it is the Cleveland Indians. You're reigning and defending American League champions, and they're definitely playing like that team that not only went to the World Series, but in my opinion should have won it. Just saying. And Meth, how about it? Number 2.
Cleveland. You guys basically made all the arguments about it. Nothing more for me to say. So it's on to number 1.
And speaking of former World Series champions, how about the team that won the World Series just 2 short years ago, fellas? That is your number 1 team in the power rankings this week. Number 1, the Kansas City Royals. What? Are you kidding me? 9 in a row? 9-1 in the last 10 games? 54-47? 2 games behind Cleveland in the Central? Oh yeah, they're playing like the team that won the World Series 2 years ago. 3rd in home runs allowed, 11th in ERA, 16th in batting average, 22nd in runs scored. And let's see what they've done since our last rankings. Well, since the All-Star break, rather. They started slow after the All-Star break. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Texas Rangers. They split a 4-game series with the Detroit Tigers. After losing the first 2 games to the Detroit Tigers, they won the final 2 games against Detroit. And since then, 3-game sweep of the Chicago White Sox at home, 3-game sweep of the Detroit Tigers in Detroit, outscoring them 24-6 in the process. And then tonight, went into Boston and beat Bullock's Red Sox 4-2. 2 more games against Bullock's Red Sox at Fenway this weekend. And then a 3-game series with the Baltimore Orioles. Yes, a 3-game series with the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. And then next weekend, a 4-game series with the Seattle Mariners. It's hard to believe that this team that, very disappointing a year ago, they're now playing like the team that went to the World Series, that came up just short in the World Series in 2014, that epic series against San Francisco, including that Game 7 for the ages. And then, of course, 2015, they won it. They got back to the series. They won it all, their first in 30 years. And now they're playing like that team once again. So let's see how long they can keep it up. For now, number 1 with a bullet, the Kansas City Royals. MF, what else is there to say?
They were left for dead about, I want to say, right at the All-Star break. Nobody really gave them a chance. Nobody really thought that they were going to be much. They thought that they were bottom of the barrel, and that was going to be the last of that. All of a sudden, they've caught fire. They're chasing down the Indians, and they are now in prime position to make the playoffs. Whoever would have thought we'd be talking about the Royals in that tone and that breath? Not me. I don't think none of us had Kansas City making the postseason. Not with teams like, not when you have teams like Detroit, teams like Cleveland right now who are really killing it. But man, alive. Holy cow. Nothing more to say. Number 1 is the Kansas City Royals. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Number 1, Kansas City Royals. I mean, what else is there to say on them? So there's really nothing more to say except, Warrior, let's just put a ball on this edition of Strictly Sports.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. Strictly Sports is coming on for this evening. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. So, and that for Bullock, shout out time. Whoever wants it first, it's yours.
First off, I want to say thank you to all the great fans out there for making the show as amazing as it is. You guys are the best fans in the world. You guys already know that. To the super fans, love you guys. To my friends in the junior high and high school days, much love to you guys. 2184 crew, you guys are always awesome. This weekend's gonna be a busy weekend for me, guys. So I just want you guys to hope that you guys have a lot of fun, enjoy it, especially fight night. If you guys are going to Buffalo Wild Wings or Dave and Buster's or wherever, have a good time watching the UFC. And we'll see. I'll see you guys on Monday night. So until then, Mike Fletcher, you know the routine, 100 pounds. I'm out. Have a good night. So long for now. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
All right. Of course, for our shows, whether it's this or Ridiculously Raw or Cerebral Smack Talk. And of course, we thank you all so very much for tuning in tonight. Of course, shout out to all of our super fans out there. You guys know who you are. To all of our friends from our high school days, you guys know who you are. To all of our local news personalities from 6, 10, and 12. To our personalities from MLB Network, NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, ESPN, Fox Sports, and of course, Stata Sorrell and Lindsay McCormick, and of course, our friends from the Road Show, former co-host Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and of course, the three current hosts, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. Of course, congratulations to the Road Show for being named Rhode Island to be named Best TV Morning Show by Rhode Island Monthly, because they had their annual Rhode Island Monthly Awards thing in Providence last night. So, yeah, congratulations to them. So, so that's going to do it for me. So until Monday night for an all-new edition of Ridiculously Raw, this is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it a point and four style. Bye for now and enjoy your weekend, everyone. So, Florio, take us home.
Yeah, we'll do, Bullock. Of course, special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. Best fans in the world. Of course, special shout out, of course, to the Twisted Angel and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, B.D. Woodson, Kevin Woodson, and the entire Woodson family. Of course, Matt Ward, our good friend Jason Dixonbaugh, who just celebrated a birthday just the other day. So, happy birthday, Jason Dixonbaugh. And, of course, Daniel Latrell from the UK. Our other First Ladies, Heather Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway, who also celebrated a birthday recently. Lexi Calloway did. And, of course, our crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, who will be joining us, by the way, for our Mayweather McGregor and Triple G Canelo Alvarez preview shows. Looking forward to having him on. He was a big hit with the Mayweather Pacquiao show a couple years ago. But he'll be with us. And, of course, Al Bradison and Rob Parsons as well. And, of course, last but not least, the man himself, the man who puts it all together, the one and only Falcon Striker 445, Derek Ferreira. And our personalities, 6, 10, and 12, ESPN, Fox Sports 1, MLB Network, and NHL Network, and NBA TV, NFL Network, you know the routine. Stata Sorrell, Lindsay McCormick, Julie Alexandria, Chantel McKay from the Golf Channel. Of course, our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. Former co-host Megan Mooney and Mary Larson. And yes, of course, I am aware that they won the Best Morning Show as far as that Rhode Island Monthly Award thing goes. Congratulations to them. No big surprise. I mean, is there any other morning show that's better than them? No. And last but not least, of course, you know, my wonderful church family over at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. Need a church home, check them out, exit 25 off Route 95. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Bible study. Around 10 a.m. or a little after Sunday service. Another Bible study Wednesday night at 7. Some other things going on. So can't wait to see them this Sunday for another wonderful service as always. And that's it. So Monday night, we'll be back with Ridiculously Raw as we continue now on the road to SummerSlam. Monday Night Raw, of course, headlined by that huge triple threat match. Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman. That thing is going to be insane. Cannot wait to talk about that on Monday night. And, of course, my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling. And then, of course, Tuesday night, over on MX channel for HPN 95, we got the Cerebral Smack Talk. SmackDown Live. those two huge main events. John Cena, Shinsuke Nakamura. The winner will face Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. And of course, for the United States Heavyweight Championship, AJ Styles defending against Kevin Owens. Oh my, you got 2 5-star classics right there. And then next Friday night, Strictly Sports. So that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Floyo here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Girl MF Michael Fletcher, Edie Woodson, and Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Go to Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. Before we sign off, one more time, we want to congratulate the great Ken Bell, as he calls it a career. So Ken Bell, once again, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for Ken Bell. For now, Anthony Floyo. So long.